Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and The Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, rejoined by my guy, Nate Weitzer, back from his trip. We are going to jump into the Hawks and 76ers game 4 here, see if the Hawks might be able to even this thing on the way back to Philly. Otherwise, they'll be in a pretty big hole. But as always, if you do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those local listings and playoff promos available in your area. And make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Jump in the comments. Let us know who you guys are betting on in this series. Taking a look at a few of the series odds as well. So interested to see what you guys are thinking. But let's go ahead and jump into all the game 4 notes.
Yeah, right now the Sixers are minus 3.5 at Atlanta after winning by 16 in game 3. The money line is plus 140 for the Hawks, and the total at 225.5. Really only went up a couple points after that eruption for the Sixers, but it's pretty impressive to see how quickly Philly adjusted to Embiid seeing extra defenders, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he gets 8 assists. He still shoots 16 free throws, still gets his points, but everybody else just gets clean looks. Seth Curry is now 12 for 20 from 3 in this series. And, yeah, the first thing I think, I mean, especially with Danny Green going out, is we're going to get more opportunities for guys like Seth Curry, for Shake Milton and Furkan Korkmaz, who now each have a 14-point game off the bench. And we're going to see more defense from Matisse Thybulle, who's – I mean, Danny Green is a great veteran postseason performer, but I think at this stage in his career postseason, Trae Young would much rather see him than Matisse Thybulle, who has done a great job switching off with Ben Simmons and limiting Trae to an extent. I just think that there's a pretty simple take here where the Sixers have answers for Trae in those guys, at least to slow him down, at least to hurt what they do in terms of getting other guys off in Atlanta. And the Hawks have absolutely no answers for Embiid. If the guy's healthy, Sixers should be huge favorites. They shouldn't just be 3.5 favorites. So I would look at an alternate line of up to 6.5, maybe get plus 150. And I would definitely look at bonuses with Embiid getting a double-double of plus 172 at FanDuel. Embiid getting over 3.5 assists as he continues to pass out of that double team. You get plus money there. And the Sixers points, that's where I would look.
Yeah, love the Sixers points. Just starting there, I mean, they average 124 in this series. The team total right now is about 113.5. Love taking their over there. I have no reason to believe that, to your point, that, if they're going to get the amount of open looks off of Embiid's, passing out of the double team, yeah, I'm happy to take at least 114 points for this team in this one, and really that's where the storylines for me really start and end. I mean, you can throw the fact that Trae Young has been slightly slowed down. He still had a really efficient 28 points and 9 assists in that last game loss. Which honestly, the way that game went, kind of feels like I don't know what Atlanta is going to do in terms of adjusting to what's going on. They made their adjustment at this point with the double to Embiid. He had only 27 points in that game 3. But as you mentioned, getting to the line that many times, he's always going to get 25 points if he's going to have 16 free throw attempts per game. And actually had a pretty poor night shooting for himself as well. So he could have had even more. But yeah, that was sort of their adjustment there for Nate McMillan and squad. And the fact that Trae had his points. John Collins had a well above average performance with 23 points on 10 of 14 shooting in that game. And Seth Curry, he hit his threes. He had 12 points. It wasn't 18 to 20, which is really bad when role players like him are getting to, getting their points like that. He was limited in that sense. Korkmaz, there's too many guys coming out at them at this point with the ability to score. I do still like Bogey. They continue to undervalue his point total, I think, all over the board. You can get him 17.5 points there, and I think he'll continue to at least get his 13 to 16 shot attempts. So I feel really good about 18 points for him. And then as we mentioned, Embiid double-double in a win. I do think we can expect to continue to see him do that. Really, he's doing what he wants with Capella at this point. I continue to throw Capella under the bus in this series, but it's just so glaringly obvious that he can't do anything with him. And his individual defensive rating is at about 127 right now. The team's at 123 in this series specifically, as we see Philly control the pace. One more thing, if you do like Ben Simmons to continue at least his torrid pace on offense, his 18 points, almost 40% of them came from the fast break, as we saw him just tear, up the court after playing tough D on Trey. And I think that'll continue to be the case for him. So you might look at his over 14.5 points as well, which I kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, credit Trae Young for performing the way he has so far in the playoffs. And I don't think we ever doubt him in terms of performing with the back against the wall. But the rest of these Hawks have zero experience in this situation. And as much as, it's going to change at some point, as much as you see young guys step up, just old guys win in the playoffs, experienced guys who have tasted the loss. The Sixers appear to have learned pretty well from that disappointment 2 years ago when Kawhi's shot dripped in at the buzzer. After a slow start, they are doing what we expected them to do, which is, I think, just winning 4 straight games convincingly and getting ready for whoever emerges from that Bucks-Nets series. Now that the Nets are so banged up, we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting because actually, the fact that we're recording this shortly after the Nets just lost Game 4 and the Bucks tied it up, and obviously the biggest sort of storyline coming out of that game now is going to be how injured is Kyrie. Interestingly enough, I actually bumped up the Nets total or line rather, and got them at -6 for the game. They were up 11 right before Kyrie went down, and then everything went to shit from there. So, with that in mind, I do kind of think looking at Philly to come out of the East right now at plus 350, you might consider that right now as it's 2-2 in that Milwaukee and Nets series, just from the sake of the fact that these teams are clearly going to have this series go pretty long. And if you see the Nets win Game 4 here, go up 3-1, those odds to come out of the East might go down, especially with that Kyrie injury, obviously potentially being a big one for Brooklyn there. So right now at 350 or so to come out of the East, I'm liking that one. But either way, it's going to be a really interesting game for Nate. We'll see if a Nate McMillan squad have anything left up their sleeve to throw at Philly. But either way, make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Jump in the comments, and we will be back with another video for you guys soon enough. Until then, happy betting.